Hi, I'm Cecilia.
I'm Emma.
I'm Carissa,
I'm Alicia.
I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Sonia.
and our presentation is on the Walkman. So who invented the Walkman and why was it created? The Walkman was designed and created by Nobutoshi Kihara in 1978. He was an engineer and audio engineer for Sony in Japan. He was born on October 14, 1926 in Tokyo, Japan, and unfortunately he passed away in Tokyo on February 13, 2011. Kihara attended Weisano University and graduated in 1947 with a degree in mechanical engineering. Kihara is known to be someone who revolutionized the Sony Corporation, and people have dubbed him the Wizard of Sony, or Mr. Walkman, because he was involved in over 700 patents for the Sony Corporation, and he also helped in developing the company's major hit, the magnetic tape recorder and its magnetic tape. So he also worked very closely to Sony's co-founders, for example, Masaru Ibuka, who was a leading engineer at Sony, and Akio Murata. Apparently the Walkman was created after Akio Murata asked Kihara to make him a recording device to allow him to listen to his operas on long business flights. With the emergence of any new technology comes problems, and Sony experienced some problems with releasing a name for the Walkman. So they planned to sell the products worldwide, and they wanted to have a name that could be well received by all people. So they planned to name the Walkman the Soundabout for the US market, and also the Stowaway for the UK market, but then they decided to name it the Walkman because the Walkman was already well received in society.
So was it a combination of other technologies? The Walkman, known for creating the ability to listen to music wherever you wish, listening to music while on the go, and even a means of recording, is an advancement of previous technologies. The creation of the Walkman is a combination of cassette tapes and cassette players with tape recorders, or even previous methods of listening to music such as the 8-track players, record players, or even large stereos, shown in the picture right there. The main purpose of combining these technologies was for portability. Cassette tapes, which prior to the Walkman were used in cars, cassette players, or tape recorders, and stereos, could now be listened to using headphones whenever an individual desires, which couldn't be done before. It was also a recording device, which further was an extension from the tape recorder. It combined listening to cassettes and being a recording device with previous methods of listening to music. Overall, the reason for this was to be able to be the sole listener through headphones and to allow people to listen to cassettes while actively moving. For example, while walking somewhere like to school. And this is a quote from a website called Time, and it says, the Walkman's unprecedented combination of portability, it ran on 2 AA batteries, and privacy, it featured a headphone jack but no external speaker, made it the ideal product for thousands of consumers looking for a compact portable stereo that could take with them anywhere. This ultimately led to the creation of iPods.
So now we're going to talk about factors that brought about this technology. So one factor that brought about the Walkman is Japan's technological advancement after World War II. You might not think that World War II helped profit Japan in any ways after the bombs destroyed the cities, but the destruction actually aided in their advancement. They built new factories that were able to use the latest developments of technology, starting completely from scratch rather than adapting their old factories to new and emerging technology. Another factor included the economic boom following the Korean War. Because Japan was so close to Korea, the United Nations asked for goods and services from Japan. Japanese suppliers were able to profit from these exports and build themselves up even more during the war. By the end of the war, they were huge companies with more money, workers, and products. As a result, consumerism emerged as a trend as well, thus creating many inventions, including the Walkman. Finally, the competition between America and Japan helped bring about the Walkman. After World War II, the two countries had rough relations. Therefore, Japan's era of huge advancement was a way to counter US initiatives. Their products were found to be more reliable and contain fewer flaws than those of the West. The company Sony is well known in the West, and many people use their products and services, including the Walkman, which was incredibly popular and revolutionary at the time, showing how Japan managed to integrate itself into America, whether or not they were welcome.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Walkman and how it fit and influenced society. So I wanted to start off with a quote by Briggs and Burke, which is the textbook that we have, and it talked about how the Sony Walkman was transformed the way that we listen to recorded music. It was influential, and most notably to today's mobile phone. There was easy personal access to pop music wherever you wanted, and it was Americanized. I'm going to talk about the theories and how it relates to the Walkman. So the first one is constructivism. So the main purpose in the creation of the Walkman was the portability of music. It allowed individuals to listen to their favorite music at any time and any point. Using headphones allowed individuals to cut off any auditory contact with the physical world as it led them to aim to build perfection in their own personal bubble. This relates to the concept of constructivism as it allowed people to construct their own reality. The Walkman is a medium that allowed people to have truth in their self-proclaimed society as the choice of their music reconciled with their emotions and feelings. This is referred to as the Walkman effect, which is when someone has control of the music through headphones. So the second theory that it relates to is Marshall McLuhan's medium as an extension, which states that media extends human senses and processes. So the Walkman is a medium that extends our senses such as our eyes, ears, brains, and yeah. However, the main human sense that extends is hearing, because it led people into believing that by plugging in headphones and listening to music, people were isolated in their own world. In an article that I read about the Walkman effect by Shuhui Kozuaka, an interviewer asked people if the Walkman made them human or not, and asked if the relation between their eyes and ears had changed drastically. This relates to our technology nowadays, such as iPods and cell phones, as people now see them as an extension of themselves. It's created a sense of security and privatization, which has definitely been since the creation of the Walkman. Okay, so music was used as a technology that was related to the Walkman as it separated from locality, meaning that people could listen to music on their own time instead of live in front of a performer. However, Walkman took that a step further, as what they did was instead of allowing music to be played in front of the audience, they now allowed it to be for an individual. This relates to now music being sold as a commodity. So that means that recording became a thing, and commodity, so music became something that became sold. This relates to the Walkman as it was revolutionary, that the main concept of individualizing music is still prevalent in today's society. Sony was the company that was known for this and sold it worldwide. The Walkman made music as a commodity as it gave people the ability to purchase their own music in the form of a cassette and listen to it at their own times and in different genres. Again, this leads into now music being intellectual property, as music is now owned and bought by people, and those people who basically bought the cassettes and CDs now have the ability to compare music from other genres and have the freedom to choose what entertainment they enjoy. People can now identify with the artist's songs and now are in control of what they want. And last but not least, it relates to Adorno's transmission model of music, because during this era, it was the elite class that could financially afford the Walkman who bought it. Those who purchased the Walkman would listen to opera, as this technology would be considered high culture. One of the co-founders of Sony, Ibuka, wanted to create the Walkman in the beginning just so he could listen to opera. Eventually, it led to commoners being able to listen to the Walkman as it became associated with urbanism. Since ordinary citizens would purchase the Walkman, the music that they listened to would now be considered low culture.
Okay, so the next question we're looking at is, why did it die out? So the Walkman was marketed extremely well, and it wasn't too costly for people to buy at around $150. The first months of sales were pretty dismal, as only 3,000 units were sold in July of 1979. However, a marketing campaign by Sony, in which people were approached on the streets of Tokyo and given a chance to listen to the Walkman, made the sales take off, resulting in all available stock being sold out by the end of August. Another great marketing strategy done by Sony was when they began to branch out of the Walkman and test its potential. In order to market their water-resistant Walkmans that were made specifically for sports, they sold the devices in water to show its capabilities. So that's seen in the picture on the left there. People were literally buying these Walkmans in bottles of water to show that it was waterproof. Sony was able to keep ahead of the game by transitioning from Walkman portable cassette players to the CD Walkman in 1984. However, it was due to developments in music technology that was initially the downfall of the Walkman. The introduction of MP3 players in the late 1990s to early 2000s is what became the decline of the Walkman, as MP3 players were sleeker and more in step with the digital age. Online streaming is arguably the tipping point that killed the technology. Essentially, it died out because of further technological developments as it was replaced by more advanced technologies.
So does the Walkman resemble technology we use today? The Walkman, introduced in 1979, was iconic in the world of music, giving the public the ability to carry music with them everywhere they went. A compact device that used the format of discs and cassettes to play some of our most favorite albums, using lightweight headphones/earphones to listen to our music on the go. This gave the luxury of music a whole new meaning through its portability. As time went on, the music industry evolved from the Walkman concept to creating MP3 platforms, the famous iPod, and now our mobile devices, such as our smartphones, have the ability to give us music on the go while still providing the functionalities of a cell phone. All the devices resemble the same attributes that made the Walkman so revolutionary, such as portability, lightness, and functionality.
So this is our works cited page. Thank you guys for listening, and this is our presentation.